Welcome to Learn yCrash series. In this episode, we are going to deep dive into yCrash agent. In last video, we have seen about the high-level architecture of yCrash, where it comprises of two components. One is yCrash agent, where it will be running on your production server, which is a lightweight Go-based program. And yCrash server will capture all the artifacts, and then it will process it. It will display it in the user interface. So whatever the 360-degree artifacts captured by the yCrash agent, it will be get forwarded to the server and all the engineers can access from the user interface. So everything will happen within your corporate network so that your data will be safe and secure. As I mentioned already, yCrash agent is a lightweight Golang program which will be running in your production servers, and you can configure using the YAML file, or you can pass the key value pair in your command line arguments. But we are going to deep dive into few more important arguments so that you can fine tune your yCrash agent. So here I have listed the few important arguments: GC path, HD path, TD path, and also you can fine tune the log level. And there are a couple of arguments like a ping host, only capture, app log will be very useful when it comes to tuning your yCrash agent parameters. Of course, there are a lot of other parameters also. You can check it out in this particular link. By default, yCrash captures all the 360-degree artifacts for your root cause analysis. But in case if you already have the artifacts captured by some other tool, but you want to just forward this information to the yCrash server, then you can configure using GC path, HD path, TD path. GC path for the garbage collection, HD path for the heap dump, and TD path is for thread logs. Whenever you have these artifacts ready, you can pass these key value pair, and yCrash server will process and will display it in the user interface. And if you want to fine tune the log level, you can configure the relevant value. By default, yCrash agent pings google.com every now and then just to check the connectivity. But in case if you want to configure using your own local host or in-house application, definitely you can configure using the ping host. And another important argument is only capture. In some instances, you don't want to forward the artifacts to the yCrash server. All you need is you have to just take it and you have to just keep it for your future reference. So in that case, you can pass the only capture. So only capture default is false. But if you want to turn this to true, it will just capture and then it will keep it in the yCrash agent wherever it's running. And if you want to pass the app log for about 1,000 lines of code or log file, then you can turn this app log, and then this information will be forwarded to the yCrash server. And of course, you can configure the number of lines to forward using the argument. For more such arguments and examples, you can refer this document for your reference. Now let us talk about the launch modes. So by default, in my last video, I have shown how you can launch the yCrash agent. So that is on demand. Basically, you will just start the process and then the process will die. And there is another mode called API, and we are building the beta version called M3, which we'll be covering it in future videos. But now let us quickly see about the on-demand. So this on-demand mode is the default mode. It will just captures the artifacts and kill the process. So nothing, it will keep on running. There is no daemon process as such. It's just a fire and forget kind of analogy. But if you want to integrate the yCrash agent with your existing observability solutions, or if you want to always keep running the process, and if you want to trigger the yCrash from remote machine, of course you can do it. But for this, you need to expose the port number, any port number, available port number, and the address. And this will enable the Action API. So Action API is responsible for this process. So whenever you enable this, you can send the post payload using any tools like Postman or JMeter, or you can just simply send the curl command just to trigger the action. So this will trigger the action. It will capture all the details and then it will forward the artifacts to the yCrash server. So now we are going to see a quick demo how we can make use of the Action API. So I am running yCrash server at the port 8080. And as you know, this is the home page. And right now, as of today, there is no incident has been captured. So now let us go back to the terminal and let us type jcmd. So we need the process ID where you want to capture. And here in this case, let us go with the application itself, the yCrash server itself, which is 20 908. This is the process ID. So we are going to launch the yCrash process from using the action API. To configure the action API, all you need is the sample config YAML, and here JKSA. So these are very familiar key value pair. But apart from this, I have configured the ping host to example.com instead of google.com. It will always go to the example.com, and log level is info, and I have added the tags as demo app, and I'm going to expose the action API to 9005, and the address is all the interfaces of my operating system network card. So now we are going to make use of this config.yaml, and then we are going to expose the action API, and then let us send the post payload so that it will automatically captures using that call. So for that, I'm going to make use of the Firefox. So here, let me open localhost and 99005/action. So right now, the API, the port number is not exposed at this particular port number. Basically, the action API is not yet started. So what we are going to do is we are going to go back to the terminal, and here let us launch the yc.exe and -c, and we are going to pass the config.yaml. So whenever you click or hit enter, so this will start the YAML. Basically, it will start the action API and expose the port to 9005. So now, if you just go to the Firefox browser or whichever browser you are using and hit refresh this particular address, you can see some payload. So this is a get call. This is not the valid method. So we need to trigger the application. Basically, we are going to capture this dump, all the 360-degree artifacts, 20908. So you have to note down the process ID and just go to the Firefox and right click and go to your developer tools. So instead of a get call, we are going to edit and resend as a post method. So just hit refresh so that you can capture the get call, and right click on the request, and you can click on edit and resend. Of course, you can use Postman, or you can use simple curl command or any other tool, but this is one of the easiest way if you are using Firefox. So here I'm going to change the method to post and let it be 905/action as the URL, but the request body, I am going to use this particular payload. So this will have the key, the license key, and it will have the action. So inside this action, you need to send the command capture and the process ID. So in this case, the process ID is 20908 and wait for is true. So now if you just scroll up and click on send, so this will trigger the process, and then it will display it in your yCrash server homepage. Now if you go back to the terminal, so here you can see the log. So log level is info. So it has started collecting all the artifacts like a GC, thread dump, and other all the 360 artifacts. And then once it is done, again it will go back to the running mode. So basically, whenever you send a request, it will capture. Again, it will go back to the waiting. So it keeps running till you terminate this process. So this is kind of an active proactive monitoring, and you can make use of tools like Dynatrace or Neuralink, and then integrate this curl payload. And whenever your observability tool captures any of the information, you can trigger the yCrash process. So now if I go back to the yCrash homepage and hit enter, we should see one of the incident captured as of today's date. Now let us wait for a few moments and let us see what it is displaying in our homepage. So now the process is completed, and if you see today's date, April 4th, and if you click on here, you can see the yCrash demo, and here it is displaying the summary. And if you go to each page, you can see the respective log information and other details. So this is how you integrate yCrash with any of your existing observability stack, and you can proactively send the payload to capture all the relevant information for your analysis purpose. So I hope these parameters will be very helpful to fine tune your yCrash agent, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.